Let's jump into Sean Payton's coaching search, or I guess tour, and how. So does that mean every team he's spoken to or is speaking to has already spoken to the Saints and Mickey Loomis and knows what compensation would have to be sent to the Saints to get Sean Payton's dotted line?
They've gotten permission from the Saints with kind of a loose general understanding of what it's going to take to get him. And Payton himself said earlier this week, a mid to late first-round pick is what's going to be required. It's an awkward situation, and Payton has a hell of a hammer here. If the Saints try to drive too hard at the bargain under this idea that he's still our employee, he's still under contract to us, teams couldn't interview him in person until yesterday because of the rule as to when you can first have in-person interviews with coaches employed by other teams. If the Saints drive it too hard, all Payton has to say is, I'll be back tomorrow. I mean, if this is how it's going to be, I'm ready. I'm coming back. You have to figure out what you're going to do with Dennis Allen, but I'm coming back. So I don't think anyone wants it to get to that point. I think that Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton have the kind of relationship where they will work something out. And the fact that Carolina has gotten permission to talk to Payton tells me that the Saints have come to terms with the possibility they'll be coaching and facing Sean Payton in the future. So I think that part of it is kind of a foregone conclusion, even though there aren't specific deals in place yet. I think that if Payton says, hey, Mickey, this is where I want to go, they'll work together to get a deal done. Because, again, the alternative is Payton says, fine, I'll just come back and work for the Saints.
And what's the Broncos search now that my college coach is staying put? What do you got on that one?
Well, there's a bunch of candidates, and we see that every year. And why not take full advantage? If you've got the stamina to do it. And I think some of these owners ultimately just get fed up with the process. It's taken too long. It's too much work. My head hurts. I got to sit here and talk to these people all day long. I mean, seriously. I mean, think about it. Anytime you're in a situation like that, if you've ever done any type of interviewing to fill a job anywhere, you just get to a point where you want it to be over with. Greg Penner, the CEO of the Broncos and former CEO of Walmart, captain of industry, smart, hardworking, ruthless, brilliant, all the good things, and, you know, some of the not good things that you have to be effective in that job. And I'm not saying that in a pejorative way, but you got to be tough. You got to be rough. You got to be willing to make tough decisions. Casting a wide net, looking at a lot of different people. But, Rich, I'm a firm believer that this time around, the Broncos are not going to hire a coordinator who's never been a coach before, because you don't know and no one knows. And you find out too late that Nathaniel Hackett can't do it, that Vic Fangio can't do it well enough, that Vance Joseph isn't ready to do it. I think they're going to hire somebody with head coaching experience. And, I don't know whether Harbaugh just realized it wasn't going to be him or it just wasn't going to work or the fit wasn't right. I think Harbaugh does want to come back. I'd watch the Chargers next year if Brandon Staley ends up out. But I would be stunned if it isn't someone with head coaching experience in the NFL who ends up as coach of the Broncos.
So you think? So you just is it a sixth sense, or you know what the conversations between Harbaugh and my school president were, that if he stays, that this doesn't end the annual footsie? I mean, the contract would, or you just think that Jim still would be tilting at that NFL windmill no matter what?
Well, as I said, with Tua, actions speak louder than words. When we see the final revised contract with the buyout's the key. If Harbaugh really wants to slam the door, make the buyout $20 million, not $3 million. And it was $3 million this year, and it goes down to, I think, $2.5 million next year. I mean, that's couch cushion money for some of these owners if they really want Jim Harbaugh. So he can make a clear commitment that prevents him from going to the NFL. But when he talks wistfully about the Lombardi Trophy, winning a Super Bowl, what that means, and we'll go try to get a college championship instead. He wants that Super Bowl. I think we've talked about this before. It's Cain and Abel stuff with him and his brother John. John's got a ring, Jim doesn't. Jim wants one. Sometimes it's that simple.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.